Welcome to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders, owners, and professionals are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Hear from industry experts on everything from marketing, leadership, financing, and more. Brought to you by Haven, a co-working space where you can connect, create, and get stuff done.
Hello, and welcome to another Hubcast, Haven Hubcast episode. I am your host, Nancy Sheed, and it is actually an honor and a privilege to be here today with Kelly De La Rocha. Did I say that right, Kelly?
De La Rocha, yes.
Yeah, Kelly De La Rocha. Kelly is a poet. She is a journalist. She is a founder of PoemRenovation.com. And for those of you that might not know what that is, it is a daily word challenge that promotes literacy, creativity, mental acuity, and social emotional health. And we can't wait to dive in and learn more about PoemRenovation.com. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Kelly, we're going to dive into sort of your story and Poem Renovation, but I kind of want to introduce the beginning. You are here, or sort of we became friends through Haven, or Haven knows of you because of the Haven Hatch that was in New Haven earlier this year, right?
That's right. I found out about Haven by chance online, and it's been such a help to me over the past year.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And congratulations.
Thank you.
For winning the Haven Hatch. We'll walk through more of that and hearing about sort of the state of your business and pitching as well. But before we get into that, Kelly, one doesn't typically talk to an entrepreneur who's also a poet and a journalist. So would love to hear a little bit about, take us back in school or college. Maybe you were yearning to be an entrepreneur, but it sounds like you also have a very creative side. What were your sort of visions and goals for yourself when you were in school?
You know, I don't know if I thought about it that deeply when I was in school. We're going back now to high school, and I was a teenager. My parents were getting divorced, and I started to write poetry at that time to help me figure out what was going on with my world. It just somehow made things make sense to me. It made me feel better. And that's when writing just became an integral part of my existence. And so when I went to college, I knew I wanted to do something with writing, but I didn't know how I could make any money with writing. So I started to study communications. And after college, I became an executive director for the American Cancer Society because I had done an internship there and worked my way up. And it got to the point a couple of years later where it was Christmas time. I was on vacation and I realized I didn't want to go back. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something with writing, and that hadn't happened. And so I told my husband, I want to quit. And he said, go ahead, do it. You know, you'll find what you want. And 2 weeks later, there was an ad in the newspaper for an editorial assistant at a local newspaper. I was living in upstate New York at that time. And so I applied, I got that job, and was told very firmly that it would not lead to a writing position, that I'd basically be making the senior calendar for all the activities they were doing and stuff like that. But I knew that I could prove to them that I had the skills to do this. And I did. And that's how I got myself into writing and journalism. So Poem Renovation did not come along till many years later. It was in 2022. It was, well, actually sooner than that, because it was during the throes of the pandemic when I started to think about the poetry I had written when I was a teenager, when I was in the middle of that hard time with my parents divorcing. And I knew that I was still in that poetry, that poetry represented me at the time, but it did not anymore now that I'm an adult, I'm a parent, I've moved multiple times, I'm a grandparent. So I started to think, because we had so much time to think during the pandemic, what can I do to use those words, rearrange them, and make a representation of myself now? Would that work? So I printed them out on magnetic paper, cut out the words, put them on my refrigerator, and started moving the words around. And the results were so cool, so revelatory. I loved what I created. And I thought, I bet you that I'm not the only one that would think that this was an interesting exercise. And so I started to try to figure out, how can I share this with the world? And I began talking to people about it, just saying, hey, I did this cool thing. I'd love to share it. I'm not a coder. I have no idea how to start. And so I was in a Zoom reunion with my daughter's 4-H group. And this was in December of 20, or let's see, it was December of 2021, I guess. And I was talking about it. And one of the girls, her name's Emily Houlihan, she is a coder. And she said to me, you know what? I'd like to help you with that. I'd like to help you figure it out. So we went back and forth together. And in March of 2022, the first iteration of PoemRenovation was born. And to explain to people what that is, every day.
You beat me to my question. I was going to say, please tell us what PoemRenovation is.
So when you visit PoemRenovation.com, every single day, you're presented with a scrambled snippet of literature. You can tap on words in the word bank that resonate with you, move them around on a digital canvas, and create something new. You can also reveal the original excerpt that those words came from, and you can share your creations, and you can save them as well. And there are no rules to this exercise. There is no capitalization. There is no punctuation. There is no right or wrong. The sole aim is to create. So it came to light. This was a digital thing. And in July of 2022, it had enough bandwidth that I could share it with the world. And at that time, I was at a writer's conference. And so I started showing it to people who were there because I figured, these word nerds, they're going to love this.
Exactly.
Yes. And the ones who loved it the most were the teachers. And they started to say, I need this in my classroom. I think this is going to be something that could be wonderful for my students. And it wasn't just the fact that, it could enhance vocabulary or go along what they were learning in English class, but the social emotional aspect, that idea that they would be able to express themselves in a new way, that they would be able to communicate thoughts and feelings, just like I did when I was writing poetry as a teenager. And so I started to bring it into some classrooms in upstate New York, where I grew up, and I had some contacts, and the teachers started to use it in the classrooms. And it was so cool to see the shy students come out of their shells, the cynical students realizing, like, hey, this actually can be fun. The students realized that they had a unique voice. And it was just fantastic to be a part of that, to witness that. So that was where we first started, in the education community.
And building upon that, so at this point, you're sharing your work, which is very vulnerable, and it is a project, but it's still a very creative project. When did you start realizing you were maybe putting on a business hat or an entrepreneurial hat to this? And maybe that had already started when you were showing it at writers' conferences and things like that. But were you aware this was happening? Was it a point in place you're like, oh, wow, I'm thinking about business now versus I'm sharing my creative expression?
Yeah. Once the teachers started to use it more, like I had a couple in New York, and then a couple in California started to use it. And then I realized, wow, I'm doing this on my own, kind of self-funding it with the help of my husband. And it's getting busier and busier. Like, wow, maybe this could be a business. And then the second realization was, oh, wow, I don't know anything about business. So, I've worked in communications, and I'm terrible at math. I'm not a numbers person. I always shied away from those classes, which I really wish I took now. And so I knew I needed to learn. And so actually, the first thing I did was I signed up for the Haven Hatch pitch night just on a whim. That was the very first foray into like potential business that I made, honestly. And I thought they'll never pick me, but I got an email about it. I'll sign up. And at the same time, I also had received correspondence from Reset in Hartford, which runs an impact accelerator program, which sounded really interesting to me because it was an opportunity to learn more about business practices, how to start your own business and things like that. So I applied for that also thinking I would not get accepted. And on the same day, I got a notice from both Haven and Reset that I had been accepted. And then I freaked out.
Wow.
That was very exciting, terrifying, affirming.
And I think it sounds, I was going to say universe affirming, I would hope.
Yes, it really was. And so there, the journey into making this a business began.
I'm going to interrupt and say, you just said you didn't know numbers, but it sounds like you actually had some great sales and marketing skills in place, whether you recognize it or not, in terms of showing your product, getting proof of concept. So we want to give you some credit for the skills that you did have to get it this far, even not having a business background. Communications doesn't always get all the credit it should, says a communications person.
Well, that's true. And I have found that my writing skills, my public speaking skills have been a real asset. All that training I had in writing concisely and writing for the public and writing so that things were easily understood really has a benefit to me in this endeavor.
So you kind of get into the Haven Hatch, and I didn't realize this is as much of your business story as it is. And so you got some training in terms of presentation and pitching, obviously, or was it just a show up and pitch?
I hadn't had much in the way of training at all yet. I had just joined, Haven Hatch happened in March of 2024. And that's about the same time when the Reset program began. So it was very early in the Reset program that I was preparing for Haven Hatch. So it was great, though, because it helped me to really fine tune where I thought this project was going. It helped me to, motivated me to create a pitch deck, which is something I had never done before as well. And then it motivated me to practice and practice and practice. I did not know what to expect.
And again, I'm assuming your presentation skills and communications came in there. Did, over the course of either that time or since, you've been in both of those programs, are you thinking more about the business model? Are you thinking more about perfecting the product? Are you realizing maybe where and honoring your strengths, where your weaknesses might lie, and bringing on support? What does that look like as you're thinking about a business model? And we talked earlier, and you're a solopreneur and you've been doing this yourself. Where are you starting to see opportunities to get support in other ways, whether it's from staff or consultants, or, as you said, people who are just big fans of the product?
There have been so many helpers along the way. And one main thing tip I would give to others who are out there considering doing this is ask for help and look out there. There are plenty of entrepreneurs who are willing to share their experiences and give advice. There are organizations such as Haven, such as Reset, such as SCORE, which is a national organization that will pair you up with a mentor who's a retired business person. And these things, many of them are free of charge to use and such an asset. So I have taken a lot of advantage of all of those things to help me along the way, which has been wonderful. Also, I have a friend who is a retired digital media executive, John Malillo, who has come on board to advise me on those business aspects that I previously knew nothing about, which has been an enormous help.
Oh, that sounds great. And then I have to ask, I know in working with writers and authors and creatives, sometimes when it starts becoming the business, you get pulled away from the creativity or the thing that you love that brought you there in the first place. How are you making sure, or is that a challenge for you? If it is, how are you making sure to keep the part of the project that you love alive, or the creativity happening, or the writing happening? Is that become a balanced struggle for you?
It is tough because I'm wearing a lot of hats.
Mm-hmm.
There is still a ton of creativity involved in figuring out, what will I put in my newsletter? I've got to write what's in the newsletter, the social media posts, the figuring out what passages are going to be on the site every day. But honestly, it is getting to be a lot. I'm working with Connecticut Small Business Development Association, hoping to get an intern through UConn right now. Working on once we can get some contracts and have a little bit more money to work with, I think that that's going to free up time for me because we'll be able to take on some more subcontractors and things like that. We do have a coder, and John is helping me free of charge right now. So finances are something that keep you from having too much help in those areas right now.
Exactly. The spirit is willing, the finances are coming along.
Exactly.
Related to that then, and you said you might have changed the pitch or the model of your business, and you just mentioned contracts, if it's okay to ask. So what does your business model look like right now? Is it an app? Is it it sounds like a business to organization versus a B2C for individuals, or what is that looking like for you now?
So right now, the site is still free of charge. We do have a tip jar on there if anyone wants to give a donation to use it. We have been in the beta testing phase. We're getting ready to finish that up. Like I said, we've been doing work in education. And this July, I also went out to Ohio. I'm working with United Church Homes, which is a continuing care facility, which has a presence in 15 states. And they run the gamut from independent living to memory care to affordable housing. And I was able to go out to Ohio this summer and train facilitators who were interested in using PoemRenovation with the people in their communities there, which was such an interesting exercise to go from working with the school students to this older, more mature population, and just seeing such fantastic results there as well. The elder care industry is growing very quickly. Approximately 11,200 people are turning 65 every day in this country right now because of the baby boomer population as they age. So there is a need for more elder care. There's a need for activities in these facilities. And there are a lot of arts-based activities that are taking place, but not that many that are word-based. And so this has been something new at United Church Homes that we've been doing. And it's been neat to see the response and the positive benefits that we've been able to elicit along with it. So we're hoping that we'll be able to come to some sort of an agreement where this will become something that they use as part of their offerings at United Church Homes ongoing.
Wow. I mean, who doesn't need a little more mental acuity, right?
Honestly.
Like I'm raising, I like, whether you want to call me a mature audience or not, I'm definitely up there.
There you go.
Best of luck in that pursuit and getting through your beta testing. If you had an ask while you have an audience, what would be your ask right now in terms of helping you make the next leap to where you're going? Is it awareness? Is it testing your product? Is it finances and funding? What's your ask right now and where you are in your business?
Oh, wow. So many asks. I would love it if people would just try it out. Go on PoemRenovation.com and play with the site, spread the word. That would be an enormous help. We are looking for interns. As far as funding goes, we have been approached by potential investors, and we're trying to figure out what the best course for us will be in that area. But I would love it if people would spread the word. And if you're interested in talking to me about using PoemRenovation in your school or in an elder care facility or any other capacity at all, I'd be happy to talk to everybody.
I love it. So, well, that's related. So you've heard it here. Go try PoemRenovation.com. We'll put the link in the show notes, as well as Kelly. What's the best way to reach you?
You can email me at KDELAROCHA@PoemRenovation.com. Or if you go to the website, there's a contact us button as well, and you can reach me there.
Awesome. We'll put all of that in the show notes. Kelly, thank you so much for your time. I just sort of feel like there's a little levity in me today in terms of bringing sort of more creativity while helping people. It just sounds like a wonderful way to do business, and has a little light and air to it that we don't always think about. So thank you for bringing your gifts into the world and sharing with us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
And that's another episode of the Haven Hubcast. If you like what you hear, please share this episode with others. Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast application. And we'd love to have a review. That always helps. Thanks again.
Thanks for listening to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders and owners are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Haven is a co-working space and virtual community located in the heart of Fairfield County, Connecticut. Haven is a hub for business owners and professionals to connect, create, and get stuff done. Find out more about the Haven community online at haven.com. That's HAYVN.com. Haven Hubcast is produced by Sound Advice Strategies.